Hey guys, thanks for checking out Quick Sessions Podcast. Coming to you from Houston, Texas, inside Timberline Fitness Studio. We are about to get into part 2, where Sara and I discuss the third trimester and everything that went along with that, and try to cover anything else we might have forgotten in part 1. So we covered first and second trimester. Let's move to the big one, the third trimester, the last 13 weeks of pregnancy. Now you're showing.
Oh, you're showing.
You're getting a little more fatigue, I would say.
For sure.
What now? Are we shifting more to the reformer? Although there's problems with the reformer, right?
There
you have to adjust a little bit. Go into that a little bit.
Okay, so once you hit this, so this kind of trails back, and we're probably be trailing back and forth between second and third trimester. Once you reach 20 weeks, it's recommended to not lay on your back just because it puts way too much pressure on a certain vein that if you put too much pressure on that vein, which the pressure being the baby sitting on that vein, it can create a lot of discomfort to you, the mother, not necessarily put your baby in danger, but you'll become lightheaded or nauseous. So after 20 weeks, not a good idea to be laying on your back for too long. That being said, there are adjustments you can make to the reformer, one being lifting it up with a Pilates box. So lifting the backside up of the reformer. So your reformer is now at an incline. So you're not literally laying flat on your back. You're propped up somewhat on the reformer.
Do you have to lighten up the spring load?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So if you're doing strap work and you're usually on like 2 reds and a yellow flat on your back, you're going to lower it to maybe a red and a yellow just because of the physics, right? You have to compensate for that.
That's pretty significant.
Well, yeah, you're shifting your whole body. I mean, you're pushing more of your body weight against it. Now we're a little bit heavier too, with the weight gain throughout the pregnancy. So
how much weight should you gain through pregnancy? I know everybody's different, but what's an unhealthy amount?
Okay, so I am not a doctor, so let me just say that. But usually what they say, what doctors or physicians will say is if you're healthy and your BMI is a normal BMI, which is what is a normal BMI? I think 19
above 35, anything above 30 is obese?
Let me think. I think it's 19.
But is BMI still a good measure for pregnant women?
I think they use it for weight gain, for recommended weight gain.
Right, but for guys, for instance, my BMI is through the roof, even though my body fat percentage is lower than most. So I'm wondering for pregnant women who are in shape and not in shape, do we think that's still, I guess because women don't hold as much muscle, maybe it would be a more exact measurement. But is the BMI just like a standard chart you look at when it says height and weight? Or is there a separate pregnancy BMI chart for you?
Maybe it's not BMI. Maybe it's more like
how much you're measuring? If
you're at a healthy weight or underweight or overweight. That's always what I've heard.
That's what I'm wondering. So overweight, I've heard people saying they gain 10 pounds at pregnancy, which I think they're lying.
So here's what I know. So if you're underweight at the beginning of your pregnancy, your doctors will tell you to gain anywhere between 28 to 40 pounds.
28 to 40. Okay.
If you're normal or a normal BMI,
okay,
they'll say anywhere from 25 to 35 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
If you're overweight and your BMI is between 25 and 30, they'll say 15 to 20.
So the more overweight you are, the less you should actually gain during your pregnancy.
Right.
Now, is that because you're correcting your diet during the pregnancy and you're starting to work out? Or is that just a general, keep doing everything you're doing, just make sure you don't gain that? And then you have to take it upon yourself to cut back.
I think it's more to do with what you said, that more of the first statement is truer. You're trying to eat a little healthier. You don't want to get GD, gestational diabetes.
So what is that? What is gestational diabetes? It sounds like diabetes.
It's exactly what it is. It's gestational pregnancy. It's diabetes when you're pregnant.
So just temporary diabetes?
Right.
And what happens? What's the effects on the baby from that?
So some of the effects that GD, gestational diabetes, has on a baby, if you have or if you're diagnosed with GD, I'm sure your doctor will say that you're at increased risk for maybe a shorter pregnancy because the baby may become too large. So you might have to deliver a little bit earlier. So you may not have a full-term baby. Maybe having low blood sugar after birth. And one of the main things that I have always remembered, or it being a fact, is your baby has a higher risk of becoming overweight or developing type 2 diabetes as a child and just as an adult in their life. So you really want to avoid GD or getting GD, and working out is one of the ways you can avoid that. Maintaining a healthy diet and physical activity has been proven to significantly reduce getting GD.
This may sound like a layup question, but has working out been proven to help the baby compared to those that didn't work out? Like saying everybody gained correct amount of weight, person A didn't work out but is an otherwise healthy person, compared to person B who actually worked out and did all the same stuff as person A.
Yeah, one of the most recent studies that somebody has even mentioned to me, one of my clients has mentioned to me, was a study that babies born to mothers who had worked out throughout their pregnancy or did cardio, 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, moderate to intense. So moderate to intense cardio, 20, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
And that's jogging, you'd say?
Yeah, jogging or power walking. You can power walk as long as
that's moderate.
Yeah. Those babies had really healthy hearts, really strong cardiovascular systems, really healthy hearts, better brain development. So these babies were, I guess you could say they were a little smarter.
And that makes sense, because if the blood flow to the baby...
And stronger lungs, too.
Right, because blood flow to the brain, oxygen delivered to the brain is such a big deal just for good brain function. And even improving that has helped, people with signs of Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. Mm-hmm. Just increasing the oxygen uptake in the brain has been shown to help those diseases. So it only makes sense that in the womb, when they're getting all the nutrients, doing the most growing they'll ever do in their life, that this increased blood flow would help everything, especially the brain.
Yeah, I think there's more studies being done on it, especially another point to make is, there's a lot of negative things that can impact a pregnancy, like smoking, drinking. We know those things are really bad for a baby, right? So why wouldn't doing something really good, something really healthy, have those positive effects or positive outcomes? A lot of it translates kind of the same way.
It almost makes me think that hospitals should have like a gym for women when they come in their appointments. They can also get on the treadmill if they otherwise don't do it. All serious, or do some weights, or wouldn't that be good though? Come in, it's like, yes, if you need to get a workout in, it helps your baby. So at least they're doing something. I know it's once every 2 weeks, but
and that's like even towards the end, it's more like once a month.
Yeah,
appointments at the beginning. That's funny.
Maybe hospitals should get in the gym business.
Maybe.
No, just a thought.
But yeah, so my point being, you have all this research and this data that backs up how negative behaviors impact a pregnancy negatively. So why wouldn't a positive behavior impact a pregnancy positively?
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Obvious.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. As long as you're not straining your body or overdoing it. And I know that sounds so vague, but if you're feeling lightheaded, if you're feeling nauseous, if you're feeling just not well, those are all signs your body is telling you to stop whatever you're doing. Take it easy, take a break. I think it's really important to listen to your body, especially when you're pregnant.
The ligament pain, does that continue through the entire pregnancy, or does it subside with rest, or does it recur?
So the round ligament pain, it definitely, for me, from my personal experience and from a lot of women I've, trained, we've discussed this. It's something that is ongoing because your uterus is constantly growing. That baby is constantly growing. Your stomach is stretching. It is painful. It's not like an all day thing. So it's not an all day constant pain thing, but it is an all throughout pregnancy thing. Probably not in the first trimester, but once you start gaining the weight and your stomach starts to grow, that's when it starts.
Outside of the SPD, what's the worst? What affected your workouts most through your pregnancy? And when did you stop running? Was it 36 weeks? 32 weeks?
This pregnancy, so with the first pregnancy, it was early on because of the SPD. I think I stopped running like maybe 20 something, 20, I can't remember, early 20s with the first one. This pregnancy, I've been really lucky to have the knowledge of SPD, and I've avoided some of those trigger exercises. And I made it to, I think, week 30. That was my goal until I just felt uncomfortable to run. You know, the bouncing, the stomach. I will say you can use a belly band.
Yeah, give me some pregnancy gadgets that help out.
So a belly band helps support your lower abs and your belly. So if you want to continue running, you can try that. But it's so hot here in Houston that just any added layer on you while you're running outside is just miserable. And one of the main things you want to be careful with while you're doing cardio is not to overheat when you're pregnant, because your baby cannot cool itself down. They cannot regulate their body temperature. So you want to be very careful. You cannot overheat while you're working
not
out.
Sweat in the womb?
They don't.
Ooh, when do they get sweat glands?
I'm not sure, but they're incapable of regulating their body temperature.
Bo's got sweat glands.
Yes.
He's a sweaty baby.
So you don't want to elevate your body temperature too much while you're working out.
Okay.
You don't want to overheat.
Has that been tough for you, seeing as both babies were in the summer?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of my workouts, a lot of my cardio inside in the gym. This pregnancy, I've been doing a ton of Stairmaster.
Oh, so go into what about spin class?
Spin
Isn't
class?
there some tricks with that when you're pregnant? Not tricks.
Like what have you heard? Tricks. I don't,
not like tricks to do it, but like it becomes a tricky thing to do.
I gotcha. Like the row machine, from every pregnancy is different. Every woman is different. So there may be people out there who completely disagree with this. But for me, the forward flexion, so just hinging forward from your hips with your torso, I don't know if it's because I carry my babies low, or, well, I guess it would be high if you carry them high too. It's physically uncomfortable to lean over and put, it's like I'm crunched up in a ball. It's just not comfortable for me, the spinning and the row machine.
When does that become uncomfortable? About end of second trimester? Or?
Oh, I think that it completely varies. I think it completely varies depending on how fast your belly grows. For me, I think it would be, let's see. And I think it also depends on what number pregnancy you're on. You grow a lot faster your second one. At least for me, that's been true. So maybe 25 weeks for me.
Yeah.
That's when it starts, it's uncomfortable to lean forward or even tie your shoes.
No.
That gets challenging. Putting on shoes gets challenging. Things start getting real.
So when Betty gets into her third trimester, what are you doing different? How are you adjusting the workout? When she comes to you and said, yeah, I'm starting to really put on the pounds. I can tell I'm getting more fatigued more quickly. What does trainer Sara do? How do we switch it up?
We take it down a notch. Like if she's not feeling good, if she's feeling tired, if she's feeling fatigued.
Right. Well, I mean, I know, yeah, that's standard, but what is like exercise selection, I guess is my question.
Well, I would try to keep doing the same thing we were doing. We either limit or not limit, but reduce weight or reduce reps.
So essentially the same routine.
Yeah, if she's like physically, like if the pregnancy belly isn't in the way, if that's not the main complaint, if she's just tired or just feeling weak, then I'll just kind of scale back on the weight or the reps or the time that we do the exercises. One thing about Pilates that we didn't touch on that is a major thing that I can't believe we haven't talked about yet is pelvic floor muscles.
And so what are those? I'm not familiar too much with that.
Your pelvic floor is, imagine it kind of as a hammock.
Sounds delicate. The pelvic floor, it sounds like something you'd really get into with Pilates, right? Because I feel like if it was in the weight room, like is there like a certain muscle you do, or is it this just group of stuff, this hammock holding it up? What muscles help that hammock stay strong?
Okay, so the pelvic floor is a hammock-like structure of tissues bound together, and it consists of pelvic floor muscles, blood vessels, nerves, and strong connective tissues. It helps basically support your uterus, your bladder, and your bowels. So a good way to identify kind of where it is or how to engage your pelvic floor is by doing a Kegel.
I've heard the term. What is a Kegel?
So it is basically an exercise to strengthen your pelvic floor. To find your pelvic floor, the best way to do it, I think the easiest way to do it is while you're peeing. While you're peeing, you're going to stop midstream. And the muscles that you activate to stop that urine midstream are your pelvic floor muscles. Now, you don't want to do that too often. You kind of want to get that sensation, try to memorize it, and not practice peeing and stopping, because that has its other complications. You
like
can,
what?
like if you already have trouble emptying your bladder, you can get like a UTI, a urinary tract infection that way. So you just kind of want to do it maybe once or twice, get a feel for it, and then practice the Kegels on your own without peeing.
Now, can guys do Kegels too, or is this a female only? Like, do men have a pelvic
Yeah,
floor?
you guys have a pelvic floor. Like now we're getting kind of, this is gonna sound so weird. Another way the way you can activate your pelvic floor or connect where it is think about if you're ever in a situation where you need to pass gas and you're trying not to, where you feel like you are trying to hold that gas in, you might clench.
Very familiar with this pelvic floor. Okay.
You try to clench your sits bones, your glutes a little bit, kind of, and you'll feel the sensation of something lifting in and up. That's kind of where.
Would your abs come in and help that?
Yes. Your
Okay.
lower abs, in and up. That's what we say that a lot in Pilates.
In and up.
Scoop in and up.
A lot of Kegels going on in Pilates.
Yes, Kegels go on a lot in Pilates, especially with like the pikes and.
Why would a man need to have a strong pelvic floor?
It helps with prolapse. So think about it. It's a hammock-like structure that's holding up your bowels too. So
It sounds delicate. Like, there's a lot of trust in this hammock. Is this like pretty strong?
it's strong connective tissue. It's strong, but
Okay.
think about if you're doing these exercises, then you could probably avoid like a rectal prolapse.
Mm-hmm. Don't want those.
So, anything to avoid that.
I had a buddy with a dog.
Really? Yeah, that's not.
Wasn't pretty, but lived away.
So yeah, men have a pelvic floor too.
We have an incentive to strengthen that pelvic floor.
We all have pelvic floors.
Okay. Back to Betty. What else do we need to know?
What have we covered?
All the ladies that are about to get pregnant listening to this or have already gotten pregnant, what else do they need to know as far as an exercise routine? Complications, hurdles, expectations. What else is there that we haven't covered?
I think the key is consistency with your workout routine, trying to stick with it throughout your entire pregnancy. The biggest hurdles for me and for a lot of pregnant women are exhaustion. You're just tired. Your body's going through a lot of hormonal changes. Consistency, being patient with yourself, knowing that you are going to gain weight throughout your pregnancy. This is not the time to lose weight. It's the time to maintain the muscle tone that you have already and strengthen yourself for childbirth. You're about to go through a major, what I think is one of the most athletic things you can do is childbirth. I think you're preparing and you're priming your body for what it's about to go through. You're training for it, essentially. So I think if you've been cleared by a doctor to work out, do it. It can only benefit you in the long term.
And call you. So, last question. How much weight?
My first pregnancy, how much did I gain? Like almost, I want to say almost like, 60 pounds?
No.
It felt like that. I think the first one, I can look that up. Hold on, I have it here.
Is it 43 pounds?
Was it? That sounds about right. Let me see. It was.
And would you say you're one of the people that was underweight?
I was pretty borderline.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty borderline between underweight and just average. I gained 44 pounds my first pregnancy.
You felt that was a good weight, wasn't too much, too little.
For me, it felt fine. Yeah.
Exactly.
For me, it felt completely normal. And for me, that was the healthy amount of weight. each pregnant person is going to gain a different amount of weight. So that's another thing that I would avoid as a pregnant woman. Do not compare yourself to other pregnant women.
Yeah.
Do not do it. And just try to be kind to yourself. Don't compare yourself. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone carries differently. Everyone puts on the weight differently at different points of their pregnancy too. This pregnancy, I put on a solid 10 pounds in the very beginning, my first trimester, which was because I was so sick. I had such morning sickness, that's the only thing that would alleviate it was eating. That being said, it kind of balanced out towards where I'm at right now. In the third trimester, everything's kind of evened out weight-wise. I wasn't gaining 10 pounds every trimester, but that's it.
Well, Sarah, thanks for doing this with me. I know you were nervous, but I appreciate you finally getting on the pod for the 51st and 52nd episode.
No problem. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I'm excited to finally be a part of it and be able to contribute a little bit of what I know. I mean, this has been fun. I hope I can come back.
Yeah, I'll check with booking. We'll see if we can get you back on.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to part 2 of Sarah and I's discussion on prenatal fitness. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you know anybody that's pregnant or about to be pregnant, go ahead and share the podcast with them. And when you do that, go to the Pod Center, give us a nice 5-star rating, write a review if you have some time, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. And also every episode is at quicksessionspodcast.com. I'll see you next time.